If I had to start from scratch and learn English again today, this is exactly what I'd do. This is the roadmap I would follow. The interesting thing is, I never actually had to do that. I studied in an English medium school, so English became a part of my life from a very young age. I never had to sit down and ask myself, what's the fastest way to become fluent? But for most people, especially here in India, that's not the reality. Most of us have studied English for years. We have learned grammar, we have memorized vocabulary, we have passed English exams. And yet, when someone suddenly asks, "Can you tell me about yourself?" our mind goes blank. If that's ever happened to you, you're definitely not alone. Over the last few years, I have spoken to hundreds of English learners on this channel. Some could understand almost everything but couldn't speak. Others knew grammar better than I did but froze during a simple conversation. And after listening to so many of their stories, I realized something. The biggest problem isn't that people don't know enough English. The biggest problem is they don't have a roadmap. Everyone tells you to learn vocabulary, improve your grammar, watch English movies, read English books, practice speaking. All of that is good advice. But very few people tell you what should come first, what should come next, and what actually deserves most of your time. So in this video, I'm going to share the exact roadmap I would follow if I had to become fluent as an adult. No shortcuts, no unrealistic promises, just the smartest, most practical roadmap I'd follow based on everything I have learned from speaking to a lot of English learners. By the end of this video, you'll know the 5-step roadmap I'd follow, what I would stop wasting time on, and the exact 45-minute focused practice routine I would use to improve consistently. So let's begin. Step 1, I would train my ears before I train my mouth. Now, this might surprise you because most learners think if I want to speak English, I should start by speaking. Sounds logical, right? But the learners who struggle the most with speaking usually don't spend enough time listening. Think about it. Imagine someone asks you to sing a song you have not heard before. Could you do it? Probably not. First you listen to it, then you become familiar with it. Only after hearing it several times can you sing it confidently. English works in a similar way. Before your mouth becomes comfortable speaking, your ears need to become comfortable hearing English. Now here's the mistake many learners make. They open a Hollywood movie, they understand almost nothing, they feel frustrated, and they conclude that English is too difficult. No, the content was too difficult. If I were learning English today, I would choose content where I understand around 70 to 80%. Not every single word, just enough to follow the message. Why? Because that's when your brain starts noticing patterns. You begin recognizing common expressions. You start understanding pronunciation naturally. And without even realizing it, you're probably preparing yourself to speak. Now you might ask, so should I listen all day? No, listening alone won't make you fluent, but it builds the foundation. Speaking becomes much easier when your brain has already heard English thousands of times. So every single day I would spend a lot of time listening to English I can mostly understand. Not passively, I'd actually pay attention. I try to understand the message. And here's a small tip that I think can make a huge difference. Don't keep changing videos every 2 minutes. Find one interesting video or one conversation and listen to it more than once. The first time, just understand the idea. The second time, notice useful expressions. The third time, pay attention to pronunciation. You'll be surprised how much you missed the first time. This video explains the best free resources for listening practice. Check it out. So this would be my first step. Train my ears, because once I understand English better, everything else becomes easier. But now comes the part where I think most learners wait for too long, and honestly, this is the biggest reason they stay stuck. Now, let's talk about that. Step 2, I would start speaking long before I felt ready. Now, this is where I think most learners lose months, sometimes even years. They keep telling themselves, I'll start speaking after I improve my grammar, or after I learn more vocabulary, or I'll start speaking when I become confident. But let me ask you something. How many people have you met who have been preparing to speak English for the last maybe months or years? Quite a few, right? The problem isn't preparation, the problem is they never moved beyond preparation. In my experience, I have noticed one pattern. The people who improve the fastest are the ones who start using the English they already know. Remember, most of us in India are not starting from zero. We already know many English words. The real challenge isn't learning English, it's using English. So if I had to learn English today, I wouldn't wait until I felt confident. I'd create confidence by speaking a little every single day. I'd start by talking to myself. Yes, it's one of the safest ways to practice. For example, while making tea, I might say I'm making tea. I need to leave in 20 minutes. I forgot to charge my phone. Simple thoughts, simple sentences, no pressure. Then I'd answer 1 or 2 questions every day, because asking questions and answering them is important too. Like, what was the best part of my day? What am I doing tomorrow? What did I learn today? Notice something? None of these questions require advanced English. They require simple English used consistently. And that's exactly what builds fluency. And today, I definitely use AI. It's one of the easiest ways to get speaking practice whenever you want. For example, check out this AI known as Sparky. It has conversations with you, rectifies your mistakes, tells you why and where you're going wrong. It provides reading articles, and it provides translation from different languages like Hindi, Kannada, Bengali, Tamil, Telugu, etc., helping you understand English better if you are an absolute beginner. It also provides shadowing practice through repeat and speak, and a lot more. If you want to check out the AI, I have left the link in the description box. Along with that, I'd read a short paragraph aloud because it helps your mouth get used to producing English sounds. And finally, I'd spend a few minutes shadowing. If you have ever tried shadowing, it's very simple. Just play one sentence, pause, repeat it immediately, try to copy the pronunciation, rhythm, and emotion. Because here's something I wish every learner understood. Fluency doesn't come from knowing more, it comes from using more. And that's why speaking, even for 10 to 15 minutes a day, is far more valuable than waiting for the perfect time. Step 3, I would stop memorizing words and start collecting sentences. Let me explain this with an example. Suppose I teach you this word recommend. Now imagine someone asks you, what movie should I watch this weekend? Will your brain automatically remember the word recommend? Maybe, maybe not. Now listen to this. I highly recommend watching this movie, or I'd definitely recommend reading this book. See the difference? You didn't just learn one word, you learned how people actually use it. And that's exactly how I would learn vocabulary. Not one word at a time, one useful sentence at a time. Because every sentence teaches you 4 things together: vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and sentence structure. It's like getting 4 lessons for the price of 1. In fact, think about your own conversations. Nobody speaks one word at a time. We speak in chunks. We say things like, to be honest, it depends, I'm not sure, we never thought about it like that. These are the expressions that make conversations sound natural. So instead of asking yourself, how many new words did I learn today? Ask yourself, what useful sentence can I use today? That's a much better question, because your goal isn't to win a vocabulary competition. Your goal is to communicate. And communicating happens through sentences, not isolated words. So from today, whenever you hear a sentence that makes you think, oh, I could actually use that, write it down. Build your own collection of useful sentences. I promise you, 6 months from now, those sentences will help you much more than a notebook filled with random vocabulary. Now, by this point, you will understand English better, you will be speaking a little every day, and you'll have a growing collection of useful sentences. Most people think, okay, now I just need to keep studying. Actually, this is the stage where I would do something completely different, because this next step is where real confidence begins. Step 4, I would have real conversations, even if my English wasn't perfect. This is the step where everything starts coming together. You have spent time listening, you started speaking every day, you've been learning useful sentences instead of random words. Now it's time to use all of that. And here's the biggest mistake I see learners make. They think I'll start having conversations after I become fluent. But think about it. How can conversations be the reward for fluency when conversations are the ones that create fluency? If I waited until I was fluent, I'd probably never start. So instead, I'd start small, a 5-minute conversation maybe, talk to a friend or talk to another English learner, because today it's easier than ever to find partners to practice English. This video explains free websites for conversation practice. Check it out. Remember, the goal isn't to impress anyone, the goal is to get comfortable expressing your thoughts. Every conversation teaches you something. Maybe you realize, I don't know how to express my opinions. Great. Now you know what to practice. Maybe you keep repeating the same words. Perfect. Now you know what vocabulary you actually need. That's why conversations are so powerful. They don't just improve your English, they show you exactly what to improve next. And once you know your weak areas, your learning becomes much more focused. So don't wait until you feel ready. Start before you're ready. That's how confidence is built. Step 5, I would start living English. Now we have reached the final step. And honestly, I think this is the habit that keeps people improving even after the video ends. Most learners study or practice English for 30 or 40 minutes. Then English disappears until the next day. I do the opposite. Instead of finding more study time, I would bring English into the things I'm already doing. For example, I'd change my phone language to English. I'd search Google in English. If I wanted a recipe or wanted to learn something new, I would watch a video in English. These are things I'm already doing every day. I'm just changing the language. And that makes a huge difference, because little by little, English stops feeling like a school subject. It starts feeling like a part of your everyday life. And that's exactly what fluency is. Not knowing every grammar rule, but being able to use English naturally without overthinking every sentence. So, what would my 45-minute focused practice routine look like? Now, ideally, I wouldn't limit English to just 45 minutes a day. I try to live English throughout the day by changing my phone language, searching in English, consuming content in English whenever I could. But sometimes, if I had only 45 focused minutes each day, this is exactly how I would spend them. 15 minutes listening actively, something I understand around 70 to 80%. Not too easy, not too difficult. I'd focus on understanding the message. 15 minutes speaking, talking to myself, shadowing, answering questions, or having a short conversation with a friend or AI. 10 minutes reading, short article, a conversation, a story. While reading, I'd look for useful sentences, not difficult words. 5 minutes review. I would go through the sentences I collected that day. If you do this every single day for the next 6 months, your English will not be the same. Not because this routine is magical, but because it's realistic. And realistic routines are the ones people actually follow. Before I finish, I want to leave you with one final thought. For years, I couldn't understand why so many people struggled with English, because my journey was different. But after speaking to hundreds of learners, I understand it much better now. Most people don't need more information. What they need is a clear direction. So if I had to learn English again today, this is exactly the roadmap I would follow. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these 5 steps do you think you've been ignoring? Listening, speaking, real conversations, or making English a part of your daily life? Let me know in the comments. And if you know someone who has been learning English for years but still feels stuck, share this video with them. It might be actually the roadmap they needed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and keep learning.